Farminus is not just rebuilding old streets, it is turning a wounded capital into a refuge. Tunnels become shelters, drills become survival plans, and the Night Corps learns that angels are not enemies you meet head-on. Then Saare and Grigori ask for Tempest training, and Ranga hears an invitation Grigori absolutely did not mean to make. AI Anime and Manga presents. If this part works for you, like, comment, and subscribe so more slime fans find the story. YouTube members get upcoming episodes early and help cover the AI narration, subtitles, thumbnails, and rendering that keep the channel moving. Now let's return to Farminus, where shelters, soldiers, Gadora, Razen, and one very eager Ranga turn a construction tour into a training problem. Yohm then took us around to see a few sites. The most impressive was the construction site where Farminus was building some of its most important new facilities. Farminus was using the same capital city as Farmus, so the central part of town encircled by defensive walls was still the noble quarter. The neighborhoods grew poorer the farther away you went, with free citizens pushed out toward the edges of the city walls. Yohm's government was doing a lot of rezoning to address that inequality, and as part of the plan, they were digging up the road through the heart of town and building a large tunnel. Eventually, that tunnel would house a subway running from the station outside the capital straight into the city itself. I said, pretty ambitious move.
Yeah, Murin is really something else. Using magic to evaluate the strength of the ground, coming up with all those plans.
Magic really is a cheat sometimes. Geological surveys were a pain at the best of times, but a talented enough sorcerer could complete one without breaking a sweat or breaking any ground. They could search for underground water veins, cavities, weaker soil, and all kinds of other features. They could even perform soil improvements with earth, sand, soft soil, hard soil, and pretty much anything else. All hail magic. No wonder science had not advanced much around here. That was exactly why the Empire, and those vampires we treated as weirdos, were seen as so unusual for their focus on technology. They were making incredibly beneficial discoveries, though, so I saw no reason to make fun of them. I told Yohm, well, it is nothing I would have come up with. I did not think tunneling shields were something I would ever see in this world. But with magic, you can kind of build the equivalent, can't you?
I don't know what that tunneling shield would be, but I'm sure our stuff's just as good, huh?
It is this thing that bores through the earth while providing a support structure to prevent cave-ins. It is a really large-scale machine, but a talented sorcerer could do the same thing, yeah. Or even better, maybe. I remembered telling people in the past that it would be neat if we could run trains underground. Murin remembered that, and now she had actually made it happen, which left me beyond impressed. Razen had apparently pitched in as well, helping complete this out-of-the-box otherworld approach to construction. It saved a lot of money, too. Besides, it was not a matter of winning or losing. Applying the right technology to magic really could trigger a revolution around here.
So we're thinking that we'll delay construction for now and use the tunnel as a shelter. The ceilings are all reinforced by magic, so it should hold out even if some magic blast torches the city.
I nodded. It will depend on the scope of the destruction, but I think it would make for a good air raid shelter, yeah. Keep a supply of food and water in there, and you could hole up in there for a pretty long time.
Yeah, and it sounds like we can magically supply the water, so we'd only need to ship food inside. We dug several tunnels for use as sleeping quarters, along with rooms with doors and big holes in the bottom, for use as latrines, they told me.
He took me into one such room, which, well, was a public bathroom, all right. It was divided into lots of cubicles, and I estimated that a good 100 people could use it at the same time. The toilets were the standard sit-down type, but waste just dropped right into the hole below like an old-style outhouse. I asked, but won't it stink really bad, being underground and all?
You'd think so, wouldn't you? But we spread wood chips and stuff like that underneath, and they said it removes the smell entirely.
Oh, so it was like one of those composting toilets? That was outside my expertise, but you could use microorganisms to break down waste and turn it into water and carbon dioxide, right? Seal answered inside my mind.
That is generally correct, yes. I have checked this facility and confirmed that it does function as intended, so problems related to smell are unlikely to occur.
Ah, wonderful. And as Yohm explained, they had 5 of these bathrooms ready to go. Sounds like they would be all set, even in the event of a long siege. The tunnel also extended all the way underneath the palace, keeping the royalty prepared for anything. I was relieved to hear that. Relieved and newly excited about the technology of this world.
So yeah, our city's defensive barrier is airtight and we're holding evacuation drills regularly too. The moment we spot the enemy, we're sending everyone right down there.
That's why your ministers didn't demand too much from me?
Well, pretty much, yeah. And I ain't about to let any of them act stupid in public either. If all they can do is whine about how tough life is, well, don't let the front door hit you on the backside on the way out and all that.
As Yohm saw it, anyone could complain. What mattered was keeping your head up and being constructive. He told me this with a smile. I have to say he had grown an incredible amount from when I first met him. It was a reminder that anybody had the potential to transform if they were really forced to. Back on the surface, we headed over to their training grounds. I wanted to see how well Grusith was training the new Farminus Knight Corps. There, I found that they had around 500 knights ranked B or higher, along with 3,000 who merited a C or below. If they gathered able-bodied citizens from across the land, they could amass a force of around 40,000. But numbers like that would not count for much in this war, so the Corps was chiefly focused on peacekeeping duties. I said, makes sense. If a huge angel force came along, it is not like they could do very much from the surface.
Right. We got some anti-air magic to be sure, but not a whole lot of sorcerers to cast it, you know? Rommel decided that it's better for us to concentrate on defending our city via legion magic.
Grusith added. Razen agreed with that too. So that is how we have been conducting our training. For these knights, if enemies come flying down from the air, their mission is to get the residents to safety. At least they were not sending them out for a bloody battle against the invaders. That gladdened me. I said, I was a bit worried you would take a far more reckless strategy. Grusith laughed. I am a lot more of a coward than Sir Phobio, you know. I realize how far my abilities can take me, and I am not going to take any further risk. Of course, Razen has been training me, so I think I am stronger than before. And I had a sudden surge of new power recently, too. So I am ready to be a shield for our citizens. I have a knight captain title to live up to. I would not call him a coward at all. Cold decision-making is the one asset any commander needs the most. Knowing how calculating Grusith could be, I doubted he would misjudge any gaps between himself and the enemy. But I wondered what that sudden surge of new power was. Grusith's magicule count put him up there with the 3 lycanthropiers, rating maybe a special A. Between that and his skill level, I was sure he had grown into quite a powerful presence. And even though his lot was cast with Yohm now, he never forgot his respect for Carillon. Given that surge, the reverse was probably true as well. It proved there was still a deep bond between the two of them. I explained, well, that's because Carillon had an awakening and evolved. You got to enjoy some of the effects of it. Grusith gasped. Sir Carillon did? Yep. So don't let that new power go to waste, okay? Grusith straightened up. Oh, of course, yes. I know that full well. Ah, I am sure you did not need me to remind you. Grusith laughed again, warmer this time. Do not worry about it. I am glad to know the reason, and Sir Carillon fully recognizes your talents as well. I genuinely appreciate it. Nice. I did not want him thinking I was lecturing him or something. I said, great to hear then. By the way, you said Razen was training you? Good old Razen. It was thanks to him that I thought about spreading ramen across this world in the first place. He was a sorcerer, wasn't he? But he could outclass Grusith in battle too? Grusith said, oh yes, Razen can do just about anything. His magic knowledge is on par with Majoran's and—
Hey, that's Queen Majoran to you, bozo.
Grusith snapped back. Ah, shut up. She'll be mine someday, you—
Shut that damn mouth of yours right now.
Okay, enough fighting, you were saying? I was getting a little sick of this comedy act, so I pushed things along. To sum up Grusith's explanation, when Razen seized the body of an otherworlder named Shoko, he was able to make that guy's power his own. He could not take all the skills and everything, but Razen's in-the-trenches experience made him both a wizard and a first-class martial artist. He was killer when it came to punches and kicks, and that was what he was imparting to Grusith. Grusith chuckled. The idea of fighting just with your natural gifts. It made no sense to me at first.
I'll bet. Saare beat Razen in muscle, but he couldn't even beat Razen in an arm wrestling match. Nobody could take him on in actual combat either. Man, was I impressed. Razen's name as a magic-born was huge all across the Western nations, and I sure could see why.
Grusith said no wonder the three lycanthropeers kept such a keen eye out for him, but... He stopped there, looked at me, and shook his head.
Oh, I know, Grusith.
Yohm patted him on the shoulder. As I wondered what this meant, the two of them looked at each other and sighed. Grusith said, "There's always someone better out there, huh, boss?"
Yeah, exactly. And when he was faced with Sir Gadora, Razen got played with like a little baby too. I just about lost my mind watching it.
Ah, that kind of thing? Well, yeah. Diablo had called Razen a weakling who would never cause him any problem, and I had a bunch more people like him besides. Gadora was strong, for sure. I had no doubt about that. But in Tempest, he might be somewhere in the middle ranks. After becoming part of Diablo's family, though, I thought he had been undergoing some kind of weird evolution, so maybe I would need to adjust my opinion. Still, I did not think he would make it to the top ranks. This talk was making me wonder what Gadora was up to, actually. I asked. Speaking of Razen and Gadora, I do not see either of them in here. Are they off doing something else? Yohm gave me a half smile.
They're training, of course. They show up for things like your visit or when we're talking about our future direction. But outside of that, they're pretty much always fighting.
For real?
Really real, yeah.
Grusith was nodding too, so it had to be true. Here I thought Gadora's talents were more strategic in nature. I did not know he liked fighting that much. Maybe Diablo had been a bad influence? That concern flashed across my mind, but I hurriedly banished it.
If you're curious, I could bring you over.
I gratefully accepted Yohm's offer, and so we were off to see how Gadora and Razen were doing. We were taken to a field a good hour away by carriage. On it was a simple little cottage, a bit reminiscent of a vacation home and nothing else, just wild plains as far as I could see. Only 4 people lived there, Yohm said, and I could guess who they were. Razen, the most powerful fighter in Farminus, 2 of the former 3 battle sages, Saare and Grigori, and finally, Gadora. Pretty interesting combo, I thought. When we arrived, they were all standing in a row to greet us. It was kind of weird seeing Gadora speak for them as if he was their boss. Gadora said, "It is a tremendous honor to see you travel all the way here." Razen, Saare, and Grigori bowed along with his greeting. To me, not Yohm.
Hey, I'm here too, you know.
Razen answered Yohm with careful composure.
Your Majesty, Saare and Grigori are guests of Farminus, but they have not pledged their loyalty to you. They were therefore expressing their respect to Lord Rimuru, the master of Sir Gadora, on their own volition.
Oh, I know. You don't have to keep lecturing me over stuff that's better left unsaid.
Razen tried his best to soothe the whining Yohm, but to me they seemed a lot friendlier with each other than I thought. I did not know how Razen felt about it, but he was considered a loyal subject of Farminus. I had not thought he had a shred of loyalty for Yohm, but judging by this attitude, maybe he cared about him after all. Outside of them, though, I had no idea why Saare and Grigori cared to act polite around me. I asked, by their own volition, though? Why act so nice to me? Yohm looked on just as curious about this. I guess it was news to him, too. If they wanted to move to Tempest, I could consider the request. I did not think Hinata was out hunting for Saare and Grigori so she could execute them as traitors or anything. Saare answered, "We have a very clear reason, my lord. Our instructor Master Razen has shown us just how immature we were, but Holy Master Gadora has shown us the true nature of your majesty. It has left a deep impression upon us, and we now wish to be a part of your force however low you may place us." Holy Master, Grigori added, eager enough to step in. Yes, indeed. Sir Gadora's strength was beyond imagination, your majesty, but he tells us that he could not even hold a candle to you. and not just you. When he told me there were many strong people in your force that he could not stand a chance against, well, it inspired in us a desire to try our hand against them sometime. Grigori was eagerly pleading his case, but he was interrupted by Ranga jumping out from my shadow. Ranga declared, "Well said! Grigori was your name? I always thought you had immense potential. If I may suffice, I would happily let you test your skills against me." Grigori's voice cracked. It is that dog from back then? Ranga tilted his head. Grigori immediately corrected himself. No, Sir Ranga, I mean. Grigori was breaking into a worryingly intense cold sweat as he stood there shaking. I guess Ranga had kicked his ass at some point. Did that cause some kind of trauma in him? No way. I said, well, if he is offering, why don't you accept? Grigori yelped. Huh? Ranga barked with delight. Gladly, my master. Grigori stammered, no, Ranga continued, still thrilled. Come, Grigori, let us go a distance away so we do not harm my master. Grigori barely got out. Wait. So Ranga grabbed Grigori by the neck with his mouth and joyfully pranced off. I could not see Grigori's expression, but I was sure he was delighted that his wish had come true and stuff. It almost teared me up seeing them go, and everyone else seemed to feel the same way. Saare said, I would like to test my skill as well, but, I am still too immature, so I would maybe prefer someone a little lower in rank? Saare sounded like he would rather be anywhere else right now. I said, I'm sure. Ranga's strong enough to be my watchdog, so he is ranked pretty high, yeah. Grigori sure is not afraid of a challenge, is he? Saare answered, absolutely not. I believe he has cultivated a fear of dogs ever since he lost to Sir Ranga. Perhaps he is attempting to overcome it today. Saare's guess made Razen bring an embarrassed hand to his forehead. Next to him, though, Yohm and Gadora were chatting away. Gadora said, not even I could pose a threat to Ranga. He must truly be a fool.
Yeah? Pretty drastic treatment he's taking, I guess. Well, good on him. I'd never volunteer for that.
Gadora replied, You do not need to, Your Majesty. As the king of this land, nobody is seeking physical feats of strength from you.
Well, I do want to get stronger, you know. I just know my limits these days is all. Now that I've come to know Rimuru and his whole gang, it's pretty damn clear to me that a little muscle doesn't count for too much.
Gadora answered, It will not go to waste, perhaps. But you are right. At best, it would let you struggle on for a bit longer until help hopefully arrived in time.
Yeah, but I'll keep up my training, you know? Gotta protect the people I love as much as I can. You thief?
Gadora approved. A fine idea. Seemed like Yohm was beginning to settle into his position as king. Better not let him get ahead of me. I was not planning to perform any crazy stunts like Grigori, though. One firm step after the other, and it looked like Razen had recognized Yohm as king too.
As long as the king keeps doing his all for his nation, I will do everything I can to help you. I have a promise with Queen Majoran that I will take in Princess Meme as an apprentice in due time, so I will be sure to protect her above all others.
Razen had supported the kingdom of Farminus for hundreds of years, and I was sure Yohm loved having a rock like him around. But I was thinking about something else. Namely, how much Razen spoke like an old grandfather, despite not looking that far removed from college. As we talked about this and that, Ranga came back with a limp Grigori in his mouth. Ranga reported, My master, we only played a little bit and then he stopped moving. Too much, boy. I said, look, you are not Shion, are you? You know how to hold back a little, right? I evaluated Grigori as I scolded Ranga. Fortunately, the man had only fainted. I added, I have to say he should have known better. Why did he mention Ranga out of nowhere? I could understand if he wanted revenge or something, but he really needed to know his place.
I'm not so sure that's the case, boss.
Huh?
He'd never want to fight him. In fact, he told me he didn't want to ever see him again.
Really? That was what Yohm and Saare said, but maybe I had this all wrong then? because Saare in particular had said the exact opposite a little bit ago. So instead of being delighted to see Ranga again, Grigori had wanted to run away as soon as possible? No, I was not so sure. I said he was a courageous man, boldly striving to take on a foe he had already lost to once. I am really moved by that. That is why I gave Ranga permission to fight him. Right, Ranga? If I called it my mistake, that would be admitting responsibility. Grigori was safe, luckily, so I pretended not to know any better, and Ranga kindly backed me up. Ranga said, yes, exactly. I was so overwhelmed by the force of this man's spirit that I am afraid I went a little too far. What a talent. And way to gloss over all his own mistakes, too. He had developed a bit of a crafty streak lately, though I had no idea who he got that from. Thanks to his clutch teamwork, Yohm and the others were convinced.
Yes, Sir Rimuru is exactly right. Isn't he, all of you?
Yeah, if the boss says so, I'm sure it's true.
Gadora added, I have no disagreement with that. Perhaps you were mistaken, Saare. Saare scrambled to agree. Ah, right. Yes, Grigori has become a far gutsier man as of late. Good. No problems now. I said, yeah, I respect that kind of thing a lot. I know. I'll call him Mr. Grigori from now on. That was my reward for him. But when he opened his eyes, Grigori himself promptly turned down the offer. My little tour of Farminus was over. After talking it over with Yohm, we agreed to let Saare and Grigori live in Tempest for training purposes. I worried about Farminus losing those valuable weapons, but with Gadora still there, I was sure it would work out. Him and Razen, too. Unless the main enemy force attacked all at once, they could probably buy enough time until we showed up. If that happened, Saare and Grigori would be little more than a drop in the bucket anyway. So instead of fretting over every possible scenario, I decided to work on their talents and prep them for whatever came up. By the way, comparing all of them in terms of fighting power produced some pretty interesting results. In terms of estimated magicule count alone, Saare was at the top, followed by Razen, Grigori, and then Grusith. Yohm, no offense to him, was not even in the competition. With Hakuro's hellish training and the abilities of his equipment, he could just barely rank an A, and I would not expect him to grow fast in a short time. Grusith, I had to say, was truly one of the Beastmaster's Warrior Alliance elites. The gifts from Carillon had brought him up to the level of Grigori, the ex-battle sage. But it would be a problem for a knight captain to leave the nation, and he was not asking to anyway, so I did not take him. He said he would pay us a visit once everything was wrapped up. So here was Grigori, the first new guest to Tempest, an iron wall of a man with a special skill known as Impervious. He liked to wield a halberd, but he was a talented martial artist as well. He lost big to Ranga, but he was enlightened level, putting him close to a Demon Lord seed, and his existence points totaled around 400,000. Certainly stronger than I thought, and with the right training, he might even have another breakout. He would join us alongside Saare, the former chief knight of the Master Rooks over in Luminous, although he lost the role after Hinata defeated him, a former battle sage he had fought against Diablo, which eventually brought him over to Farminus. Guess he had a knack for picking bad opponents. Just like Grigori, luck had not always been on his side, but there was no doubting his abilities. As a saint, his EP was over 1 million, a shocking discovery for me. Having him attempt a serious Labyrinth run could be pretty neat. Razen, by the way, was only a little higher than Grigori in magicule count, but his actual power was well above size. When he took Shogo Taguchi's body, he apparently also earned the unique skills Berserker and Survivor. According to CL, unique skills may either bond to a person's heart core, be carved into their soul, or take residence in their astral body, spiritual body, or material body. There are abilities that can seize skills from the enemy, but they only work if the skill is in residence like that. Some exceptional skills can reside in the soul instead, but those could be snatched away as well. So if a skill is carved into a soul, that makes it much harder to steal? Seal answered again.
Not for certain. However, if it has bonded to a heart core, it is impossible to remove.
Seal sounded confident enough about that. You could just copy a skill instead of stealing it though, which was why Michael could do all that crazy stuff. But anyway, after obtaining those 2 unique skills, Razen realized that he could take far better advantage of them than Shogo could. That was why he dominated Saare despite having maybe half his magicules, a real testament to Razen's abilities. However, that was only in the early stages. Saare had his own unique skill, All-Rounder, which let him identify and learn any technique after watching an enemy use it just once. Razen, aware of this, had taught Saare every technique and magic spell he could think of. Magic was an art as well, a skill derived from one's knowledge, and while Saare was not a natural at it, he never complained, constantly asking for more instruction. That was why he called Razen his master. So by this point, Saare was stronger than Razen in name and deed. But Gadora still beat the crap out of him apparently. How did their EPs compare? Seal displayed Gadora's information.
Name Gadora. EP 1,126,666. Race High-level Chaos Elemental Metal Demon. Protection Noir Clan. Title Servant Number 2 Poochie. Magic Dark Magic. Elemental Magic. Ability Ultimate Gift Grimoire. Tolerances Cancel Melee Attack. Cancel Ailments. Cancel Spiritual Attack. Cancel Natural Elements. Resist Chaos Attack.
There were a few things in that file I could comment about, but it was best to focus my limited energy elsewhere. I had asked for a comparison with Saare, but in terms of EP, Gadora was ahead of him. Honestly, I did not think he had grown this strong. He sure was not at that level before his reincarnation. His magical knowledge was now off the charts, and his skill levels were quite a sight to see. But when judging battle skill alone, I would not call him a threat. He was a shrewd player though, crafty to the core. If he were on the enemy's side, you would want to crush him first. That was my honest evaluation of him. Thinking of it that way, I would say Gadora had made a string of good choices. He was still alive for one, and he was now a full member of my hierarchy. In terms of ability in actual battle, he had surpassed Saare the Sage. Saare's all-rounder skill was quite a menace, but actually quite simple to counteract. Just use a basic frontal approach and you are all good. No arts, no magic, just overwhelming melee strikes. If you do resort to magic, cast it when you are going in for the kill so he cannot copy you. I had heard Saare lost to Hinata, and now I could guess why. Hinata never dropped her guard, so I was sure she fought Saare without revealing any of her cards. This meant he had nothing to copy from her, so he immediately lost the advantage his unique skill gave him. This time too, the clincher that helped Gadora beat him was the presence of his ultimate skill. Gadora was just as crafty after all, so maybe he did not reveal his full hand to Saare either. But even if he did, Saare was not likely to copy it. A unique skill cannot compete against an ultimate after all. Looking at it that way reminded me of how eminently unfair it was me being able to shower my subordinates with ultimate gifts. The ultimate skill Grimoire, by the way, was in the same family as Adalman's Necronomicon and boasted similar abilities. These included Hasten Thought, Universal Detect, Lord's Ambition, Cast Cancel, Analyze and Assess, All of Creation, Mental Strike, Browse Knowledge, and Share Concept. Browse Knowledge let him learn stuff from Seal, and Share Concept let him share stuff with Adalman, apparently. Another case of Seal taking someone's wishes and turning them into just the right abilities. Anyway, that explained why Gadora was stronger than Saare. And I also had a general idea of Saare's actual ability too. I knew that the Crusaders were making regular Labyrinth runs, but Apito's floor was as far as they had reached, right? And that was before Adalman's evolution, so I was not sure how good a reference point that was. But anyway, they had visited the Labyrinth recently and we had a full set of data for them. Arnaud and Renard were the standouts in strength among their band, their existence points both close to 500,000. The other squad leader class Crusaders were at around 300,000 too, definitely a big leap up from the early days. That put them on the same level as Grigori, and maybe it would be fun to put them all in the same party actually. As for Saare, I thought I would pair him up with Hakuro, given how easily he could learn other people's arts. He would probably make a great training partner for the kids, and I wanted him to learn a lot in Tempest. Not any of our national secrets, but still. So I now had a general idea of how Saare and Grigori would train with us.
Route confirmed. The next episode and full playlist are ready.
Then don't stop here. Keep watching in story order and subscribe before the next part drops.